Morgan Hayes sat frozen in disbelief as her laptop crashed to the floor, the screen shattering with a sickening crack, data from her billion-dollar acquisition deal flashing wildly before going dark. Just moments ago, she'd been the new owner of Skyline Airlines, and now, thanks to the smirking white flight attendant across the aisle, she was watching her future get sabotaged right in front of her. Before we dive into this unbelievable story, where are you watching from today? If you're ready to see what happens when justice takes flight in the most unexpected way, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of triumph over discrimination. All right, let's take off together on this journey. Morgan Hayes wasn't your average executive. At 32, she held a Harvard MBA and had climbed higher in the aviation world than anyone from her background ever expected. Raised in Harlem by her single mother, Carla, who worked triple shifts cleaning offices and hotel rooms, Morgan knew early on she had to work twice as hard to get half as far. Education's the one thing they can't take from you, her mom would say, exhaustion etched into her face as she helped Morgan with homework late at night. Those words became Morgan's mantra. She graduated valedictorian of her high school despite counselors advising her to set more realistic goals. Harvard followed. Not without battles her white classmates doubted her. Professors sometimes mistook her for janitorial staff, and after her first economics presentation, one professor called her articulate with genuine surprise, like it was some rare cosmic event that a black woman could speak so well. But Morgan persevered. Graduating summa cum laude, with consulting offers flooding in, she chose aviation out of fascination, the intricate logistics, the global connections, the promise of bringing people together across borders. Within 8 years, she'd earned a reputation as a miracle worker, the executive who could turn struggling airlines profitable. Her latest project? Skyline Airlines, a prestigious carrier with a troubling history of discrimination complaints, was about to become hers through a stealthy acquisition that left Wall Street analysts blindsided. Today's flight wasn't a coincidence. Morgan purposely booked the flagship Skyline route to experience the service firsthand before her ownership became public. Her laptop held the final presentation for tomorrow's board meeting and signed contracts, making the deal official. Ditching her usual tailored executive suits for designer jeans and a simple blouse, she told her assistant Leah, "Let me see how they treat regular passengers, especially ones who look like me." From the terminal, it was clear. The ticket agent triple-checked her first-class boarding pass, as if she was in the wrong place. Security pulled her aside for random screening, while white businessmen sailed through priority lanes. When boarding began, the gate agent stopped her again. "First class is boarding now, ma'am. You'll have to wait for your group." "I'm in first class," Morgan replied calmly, showing her pass. The surprised look was just the first of many. Settling into the plush window seat in first class, Morgan noticed white passengers were greeted by name, offered drinks immediately, and met with warm smiles. When the flight attendant finally acknowledged her, it was with a curt, "You need something?" Not the friendly, "How may I assist you, sir?" aimed at the businessman across the aisle. The anxiety Morgan felt wasn't about flying, it was about what tomorrow would bring. After this acquisition, she wouldn't just be breaking a glass ceiling. She'd be responsible for transforming a corporate culture that badly needed it. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. "When you get to the top, make sure you send the elevator back down." Then came Veronica Peters, the veteran flight attendant of 20 years, who believed she knew who belonged where. Tall, blonde, with a practiced smile that never quite reached her eyes, Veronica prided herself on traditional values. She often complained about how diversity policies were lowering standards. To her, real first-class passengers didn't look like Morgan. As service began, Veronica lavished attention on white passengers memorizing names, complimenting ties, recommending premium drinks, but when she reached Morgan's row, everything changed. "Anything to drink?" she asked curtly, avoiding eye contact. "Sparkling water with lime?" "Please," Morgan replied. Veronica moved on without acknowledging her. Morgan had to raise her hand 3 times before getting water without lime. When she politely pointed this out, Veronica sneered. "We're out of lime. You should have ordered earlier." Morgan glanced at the businessman across the aisle whose gin and tonic had a fresh lime wedge. She said nothing and returned to her laptop, reviewing confidential financials that even most Skyline executives hadn't seen. Veronica's hostility escalated. "How did you get this seat?" she demanded quietly. "Excuse me?" Morgan said, confused. "First-class seats are expensive, usually for our frequent business travelers." The businessman across the aisle, Wallace Turner, shifted uneasily. Suddenly, Turner spilled his drink ice and liquid splashed over his tray table and dripped onto Morgan's laptop bag on the floor. Veronica snapped at Morgan. "Your bag is leaking onto my side." Morgan corrected. "Actually, it's his spill dripping onto my property." "Don't use that tone with me," Veronica hissed. "You're being disruptive." Morgan sat up straight. "I'm not disruptive. I'm protecting my property and deserve the same courtesy." Something in Veronica snapped. Her face flushed red, and before Morgan could react, she knocked the laptop off the tray. The screen shattered. "Oops," Veronica said, barely hiding her satisfaction. The cabin fell silent. Morgan's heart raced, but her voice was steady. "You deliberately knocked over my computer." She grabbed her phone and started recording. "Put that away," Veronica demanded. "Recording crew members is against policy." Other passengers reacted. Some looked away, others stared, and a few pulled out their phones. A middle-aged white woman whispered to her husband, "That flight attendant's way out of line." 2 rows back, a younger passenger called out, "Hey, I saw you knock her laptop down on purpose." Veronica's expression hardened. "This passenger is disruptive," she shouted. "I'm asking the captain to intervene." Captain James Sullivan Araveda, tall man with graying temples, confident, used a commanding respect. He sided with Veronica, warning Morgan that interfering with the crew was a federal offense and threatening removal if she didn't comply. Morgan calmly explained that she only recorded after her laptop was knocked down and that the damage was deliberate. Veronica accused her of being difficult from the start, claiming Morgan balanced her laptop precariously. Sullivan's patience thinned. He demanded Morgan promise no more disruptions, or she'd be escorted off. As Morgan opened her mouth, another flight attendant, a young man named Tyler, discreetly retrieved her phone from the seat and pocketed it, signaling her not to mention it. The theft hit Morgan like a blow. Without her recording, it would be her word against Veronica, and history showed who usually lost in those battles. Suddenly, a soft voice came from behind, a middle-aged Asian woman holding up her phone. "I recorded everything," she said calmly. "She knocked your laptop down on purpose. Want me to send it to customer service now or after landing?" The captain's expression shifted. "That won't be necessary," he said. Morgan decided against escalating the scene. Strategic patience was the best move. Tomorrow, she'd have power to address this from the top. Throughout the flight, Veronica continued to mistreat Morgan, skipping her during beverage service, claiming entrees were sold out, denying blankets while white passengers received them, laughing loudly with a rowdy group of white businessmen who openly mocked diversity hires and threatened to boycott if that kind of person ran the airline. Morgan tried connecting to the Wi-Fi, but got error messages. When she asked, Veronica sweetly claimed technical difficulties and left. Tyler slipped Morgan a note with the crew Wi-Fi password, explaining Veronica had manually blocked her seat's access. Using Tyler's credentials, Morgan sent an encrypted message to her executive team. "Laptop damaged. Proceed with Plan B. Activate media protocol. Document everything." Veronica caught her, furious, accusing her of a security breach. Tyler was called over, and Morgan stood up for him, warning Veronica that her own improper actions might be under scrutiny. Just then, one of the executives who had been gossiping earlier, Robert Davidson, Skyline's VP of Operations, arrived. His tone shifted from disdain to alarm as Morgan accused the company leadership of enabling discrimination. An air marshal approached, ordering Morgan back to her seat, threatening enforcement. Veronica whispered, "You're finished. Security will take you off." Tyler gave Morgan a small nod. At least one person understood. As the plane began descent, the crew prepared for landing. Morgan's laptop flickered, showing fragments of the critical documents. She received texts from her team, legal ready, media mobilized. The captain announced security would meet the plane. Veronica shot Morgan a triumphant look. But when the plane doors opened, it wasn't security that came aboard, it was Morgan's legal team and executive assistants, fully authorized by Skyline's headquarters. The tide had turned. Morgan confronted Veronica, calmly telling her there'd been a misunderstanding about who she was. Veronica's smugness vanished into shock and fear. Even Captain Sullivan looked bewildered. Alexis Washington, Morgan's chief counsel, explained the incident and presented the newly published news that Morgan had officially acquired Skyline Airlines. The executives who made racist comments earlier paled, realizing their world had flipped. Morgan declared that the discrimination wasn't an isolated incident, but a systemic failure that she was there to fix. Veronica was fired on the spot. Tyler was promoted to Director of Customer Experience for his integrity. New policies enforcing zero tolerance for discrimination were announced. Captain Sullivan was reassigned to training after acknowledging his failure. 6 months later, Morgan stood at Skyline's headquarters, the broken laptop encased in glass's symbol of broken systems that still function and can be repaired. Customer satisfaction had soared, employee turnover dropped, and Skyline became the country's most profitable airline. Executives who resisted left. A diverse team now shared Morgan's vision. Morgan even invited former skeptic Robert Davidson to join a new leadership training program focused on inclusion because change requires even the hardest hearts to listen. On a commemorative flight marking 6 months since the incident, staffed entirely by minority crew members, Morgan boarded openly as CEO. The difference in treatment was stark, not because of her title, but because respect was now standard for all. As she passed a young black girl staring at her with wide eyes, Morgan asked, "Do you want to fly a plane someday?" The girl nodded. "Remember this," Morgan said. "The sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning." What about you? Have you ever been underestimated because of how you look, only to prove people wrong? Or witnessed discrimination and wondered whether to speak up? Share your story below. Your voice might inspire someone else. If Morgan's journey moved you, please like and subscribe to support more stories of resilience and change. And if you know someone struggling with discrimination or self-doubt, share this video to remind them justice can take flight in the most unexpected ways. Until next time, keep soaring above expectations.